Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schultz and welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you my recipe and procedure for preparing beef cheek ragout. Beef cheek ragout is an amazing comfort food. Beef cheeks in general are an amazing cut of meat, and I think they're relatively underutilized. They're amazing for braising, smoking, making barbacoa from it, or even filling ravioli. It's pretty much endless what you can do with these things. So join me now as I show you how I prepare my beef cheek ragout. At this time, I'd like to say thank you very much to all the current subscribers. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you've not done so and like the content, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. Let's get cooking. Well, to begin, I have my pan preheating over medium-high heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of grapeseed oil. And then I want to render the fat from bacon lardons. We're going to render this fat until they start to slightly crispen. There we are with the bacon starting to crispen up. Let's go ahead and remove the bacon. Now we'll go ahead and add our mushrooms. And now that the mushrooms have cooked, let's go ahead and remove them. Well, now I would like to add my beef cheeks. I had cut them into smaller pieces, but not as small as like stew beef. What I want this to do with the end result, I want it to be a little stringy when we shred it, kind of reminiscent of pulled pork. So we're gonna go ahead and sear this and get nice brown color on all sides. Now that we have nice color on the beef, let's go ahead and add our mirepoix. I also added to the mirepoix some leek and some parsnip and fennel. I want to bring out so much flavor in this dish that our heads are gonna spin. So let's go ahead, stir this around, and allow us to cook for about 3 minutes or so. Well, after our 3 minutes of cooking, you see the pan deglazed itself. All that fond came up, and that's because of the waters that were released during the cooking process from the vegetables. So now that we got that, let's go ahead and add tomato paste. Tomato paste is going to do a couple things for us. Much like when you are making veal stock and you roast the bones and the mirepoix, you brush it with tomato paste. We're going to allow this to cook and start to develop a dark color on us. It will burn a little, but you want to control the burn. You don't want it to get so charred that everything is going to be bitter and ruin the dish. So stir this around and get the tomato paste coated on as much items in the pan as you can. Here we are after about 4 minutes. You see how the tomato paste is beginning to get you that nice fond. So go ahead and start stirring your vegetables around and trying to deglaze and scrape some of that up. We're at the perfect spot now where it's just starting to caramelize and it's not too burned to where we destroy the dish. So now that that is done, we're ready to add our tomatoes, diced tomato, with the liquid. That liquid is going to help us deglaze a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and stir this and continue to cook until the liquid has evaporated. And you see how that little bit of liquid is already starting to pull up the fond? That's what we want. This is called deglazing the pan. Well, now I deglazed everything. I'm starting to build a second fond. At this time, I like to add black garlic, roughly chopped, and I will add bay leeks. Go ahead and give this a stir and check the bottom to make sure that the fond is not getting too dark. And we're going to allow this to continue to cook until we develop that dark color once again. We will also add our bacon and any of the drippings that came off. Quick stir. Fond is coming along nicely. Well, here we are. Look at that lovely fond at the bottom. All right, now I like to move my material to the side and then go ahead and start deglazing with the wine. Now go ahead and gently start stirring. That's gonna deglaze the bottom of the pan as well as start absorbing the tomato paste, and it's already gonna start thickening for you. So continue gently scraping the bottom until everything is nice and smooth when you feel it with the end of the spoon. I'm gonna go ahead and add the veal stock. Feel free to use beef stock. Doesn't really matter. I like the veal stock because it's a little more mild. Now that that's there, I will add some dried chanterelle mushrooms. Homemade, of course. And let's add our sachet. We have thyme, marjoram, and rosemary. I will take the end of my string and loop it around the handle. Well, here we are after 3 hours of braising. I started checking on a little bit and busting the meat up as we're going just to check the doneness, and it's looking great. It smells amazing too. So at this time, you go ahead and start busting your meat into your desired texture or size. I kind of like it shredded like this. Maybe leave a few pieces that are a little bigger just to kind of give a little more character to it. And while we're doing that, we can also remove our aromatics. And then the bay leaves, pull them out. Well, now that the meat has been busted up, let's go ahead and then add the mushrooms. I do not like to cook the mushrooms the entire time. This cooking process took 3 hours, and I think that the mushrooms would just turn out to be very gummy and rubbery and just all in all not good. So that's why I kind of cook them and then reserve it for the end. Now we will go ahead and season with salt and pepper. And if you notice, this is the only time I'm seasoning it. Anytime that you're reducing liquids, you got to be careful the way you season it, because as you're reducing, you're concentrating all the flavors as well as saltiness. Let's stir to incorporate all the salt and pepper, and one final taste, and you are ready for service. Well, there you have my beef cheek ragout. A little bit time consuming with a 3 hour cook time roughly, but it is well worth the effort, let me tell you. So much flavor, so rich. This dish can be served several different ways. Over a pasta, a hearty pasta like bucatini, pappardelle, which I'm doing now. It goes great over top of rigatoni, strozzapreti. Serve it with a gnocchi or dumpling. Put it over gnocchi. Eat it on a slice of bread, toasted. It just is an amazing, amazing dish. What I did with mine is the red wine, use your favorite red wine. What I did with mine is I mixed 50-50, a port wine and a Hungarian bull's blood. So it didn't come out too sweet or too dry, kind of in the middle. If you are pressed for time, I recommend using a pressure cooker. I absolutely love pressure cooking. It just significantly takes so much time off your cook time, and very handy tool to have in every kitchen. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. I'd love for you to give it a shot. I assure you that you will enjoy it, and it'll be another one of those staples that you will have in your repertoire. Thank you for joining. You had fight.